In this quick start beginner lesson, we're going to talk about the B major chord, also known as a movable bar chord. And I say movable because once you learn this chord, you can move it, just slide it up or down, and you always have a major chord. Wherever your first finger is, that is the root note of the major chord. So, major chord or bar chords are tough, as we've learned already with the B minor, and the major bar chord with root on the E string. But inevitably, you are going to come to a song with a lot of open chords that seem easy, and you're going to run across these where you need to be able to play a bar chord. So, like in the other bar chord lessons, I'm going to show you a couple ways that you can play this. Now, the way I play it is I take like a power chord, and the B is on the 2nd fret, so we're going to be talking about B first. The root of this chord is on the A string, this chord shape, this movable chord shape. I play it like this. So first finger on the 2nd fret A string, I'm barring the D, G, and B strings with my 3rd finger, like that. I'm omitting the low E string and the high E string. I'm not playing those. If I play them, it's going to sound bad. Not good. So I play these 4 strings in the middle. Okay, now you can kind of let your first finger rest on this low E string and mute it, so in case you bump it, it doesn't make a sound. And also with your third, you can do kind of the same thing with your 3rd finger. So if you're really strumming hard and you bump those strings, it's not going to matter. Now, that's kind of the full F-U-L-L, full way to do it. Or even to get more strings in, you can do it this way. You bar the 2nd fret from the A string down to the high E string, and you play these notes here that we were barring before individually with fingers like this. Now, I do not play this much like this. The advantage to playing it like this is you can now include the high E string into the chord. But it's hard to get to. Some people are very comfortable with it. I'm just not. I never played it that way. I always played it like this because I kind of thought of it as a power chord and then just dropping this finger and barring these. It was just easier for me to do it that way. But this is the other way you can do it if it's more comfortable. Now, if neither of those are comfortable for you, you can always just play. You'll get all the notes of the chord. There's 3 notes in a major chord right here with these notes that we were barring. So you could, if you have to, just play those 3. It comes from this A major shape, A major open chord. If you move that up, that's what you have. So you could bar it and just play those 3 like with your first finger, or you can play it with all 3 fingers. You could also play it like this to get the high E string in. All of it comes from this bar chord here. You're just kind of omitting some strings. So any of those ways are acceptable. The way that's going to sound best, especially if you're playing acoustic by yourself, is to play it like that, or like this, with including this low note on the A string, because it makes the chord sound nice and big and full. But to get by, if you have to for now and you can't get to that bar chord fast enough, or it's just not, you just don't have it down yet, you can always use one of these, excuse me, I'm tuning, one of these cheats. This one, or this one. Probably this one's going to be the easiest, just barring it with your first finger. So, there's no secret or great way to practice it other than just forming the shape and trying to get each string to sound out. And then, practicing this bar with your 3rd finger is tough because you got to make your 3rd finger bend like backwards almost. If you do like that, it's not going to work. You got to almost bend it. You got to make your fingers do some acrobatic stuff that it's not used to doing. So one way to practice it might be to just play these 3 notes and practice picking that up and moving it up a half step at a time, and getting each of those notes to sound out. Okay, now once you get this chord down and you can play it, then it's important to understand how you can move it around. So now that you know this chord shape, this is what I would refer to as an A major bar chord, or a major bar chord with the root note on the A string, as opposed to a major bar chord that we learned before with the root on the E string. Looks like this, right? Now you have a shape that looks like this, and you can move it around. So for the purposes of this lesson, it's B major right here, because the root is on the second fret of the A, and that's a B note. Now if we move that up a half step, now it's C, because my finger's here on C. So now we can also play a C major chord here, or a C sharp major, D major, D sharp major, E major, F major, F sharp major, and so on. So now, if you have the bar chord with the root on the E string that we learned before, and you got this one, now you have two ways that you can play a major chord as a bar. And the advantage of that is that it just allows you to not have to move around the neck so much. And I'll give you an example. Let's say the chord progression that you're playing is G sharp. Let's say we're in a sharp key. G sharp, C sharp, and D sharp. So G sharp we could play here with this on the E string. G sharp's right there where my first finger is. Now we could play a C sharp, use that same shape and play a C sharp here. Have to slide all the way down to here, and then play a D sharp here. Or, now that we know this other shape, we can kind of stay in a similar position. D sharp or G sharp, C sharp's right here with this shape. And then D sharp is right here. So it allows you to not have to slide up and down the neck as much. It's basically just more efficient, okay? So the hard part now is just getting the chord down. That just takes practice. So in the next lesson, I'm going to show you a way now to play, a second way to play a minor bar chord, and that's going to be with the root on the E string.